This is Useful NPCs with our first podcast.
Woo!
So if you are not familiar with us, I'm Cameron.
And I'm Zach.
And we're on YouTube usually doing gaming-related things. We're elsewhere.
We're on the internet. You can find us
We
there.
are, yeah. We have a Tumblr and a Twitter.
We'll get better at them.
Yeah, we will. But for now, we got this podcast, and if you're watching this right now, or listening to it, I suppose, and wondering what this is sort of like a reaction podcast where we will recap something and kind of talk about it for a little bit. But specifically, we're doing for this series, we're doing Game of Thrones, and the reason why we're doing Game of Thrones is because Zach here has never seen or read the books at all.
I am a terrible person.
So right now, as of the recording of this podcast, season 5 is about to air, and Zach hasn't seen a single episode.
Well, I kind of did a long time ago, but then I just never watched it, and Cameron has never let me live it down, so now we're doing this.
Yes, so now we're doing it, and we've just sat down and watched episode 1. For those of you who have seen Game of Thrones before, the part of the joy of doing this is just watching your friends who have no experience with Game of Thrones before, watching them watch the show. And that's what this is designed to be like for you. And if you're someone who hasn't watched Game of Thrones before,
you can sort of join in on it with me because, you know, we can be very much on the same page.
Yeah, so feel free to watch it with Zach and go through the I don't know what we're gonna call this. The pain maybe of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
The triumph of Game of Thrones.
All right, so I guess at this point it's time for me to say what I know about Game of Thrones.
Right, yeah. So that was going to be my first question.
Prior to episode 1, what I knew about Game of Thrones. Okay, let's see. People die a lot.
Okay.
There's much pain and sadness.
You got that one.
Let's see. There are like ice zombies. There are dragons, and there are very HBO things like not suitable for work things, and oh gosh, Starks, Lannisters, Westeros, Easteros. I'm hoping for a Northeros or Southeros, but Cameron tells me they're not a thing. Yeah, a lot of this is me just saying like really stupid things to keep myself upbeat because I don't know. I know I have to come to this not expecting a lot of the people I love to live.
I mean, we'll see. For you, you'll see. For me, I know, and for people who have watched it, they know. So yes, so
that's like pretty much what I bring. Oh yeah, and winter is coming. Keep it in mind.
Yes, yeah. I don't think you can be on the internet
and not know
that. Yes. So, like we said before, Zach has just sat down and watched the first episode of season 1, titled "Winter is Coming." Is the title of the first episode. So, yeah. So, my first question for Zach.
Okay.
After seeing this, how many names do you remember?
Oh, frick.
How many can you list? Before I even ask you to recap what happened, how many names can you straight up remember?
Oh, man, this is going to be terrible. Okay.
Because the first episode really is like an info dump
a
of
lot
names.
of Starks.
Okay, can you name them?
Crap. Ned, Arya, something with an S. I don't know if her name was said or if I just heard it from the internet. Sansa, Sasha, Sierra, balls. I don't know. This is gonna get progressively worse. Snow, Jon Snow. Yes. Tyrion Lannister, the awesome, and well, Cameron spoiled a name for me because I asked, because I've heard, like, random things. There is a Hound, and there is a Joffrey, because you can't be on the internet and not know that he is the most hatest figure in forever. And that smirk, I hate him. I hate him already. He didn't even do anything yet, and I hate him. And nope. There's Ranger guy that got his head decapitated, and I appreciated the nod to, like, D&D lore where the ranger like had a long sword and a short sword because he had dual mastery. Yeah, see, that's the kind of stuff that I pick up on, not the plot. Yeah, there's a lot more characters.
So how much?
Oh yeah, and there was Neckbeard.
Neckbeard. Okay, so I don't know if I want to tell you actually.
More than 5.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to tell you what Neckbeard's name actually is because I enjoy Neckbeard so much as a name.
I've made up a lot of names for a lot of people, but I'm not going to say them all because I already feel terrible. The internet is already judging me.
So with that in mind,
okay,
let's hear your plot summary of episode 1, season 1.
Okay, so the scene opens. 3 people come out of the coolest snow fort ever, and then they proceed to get hunted by winter zombies, and then we cut to a cool castle, probably, Stark Castle, and Ranger guy was running away, and he's all like, I know what I saw, there's White Walkers, and they're all like, yeah, you gotta die. And the Stark is like, look, sis, you have to look at this. Or is it sis? I don't know. The boy and the girl do look very similar if you don't pay attention.
Are we talking about Arya?
I think it was Arya. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Arya. It's like, look at this guy die. And she's like, and she did it.
Okay, so that would be Bran, the brother.
Dude, I don't know which.
We're gonna have to at least tell you who the Starks are, okay? Let's just put this plot summary on pause, okay?
No, this is important.
This is important. We have to have Stark class right now. So we have Lord Eddard Stark, aka Ned.
Okay, and yeah, they said Eddard too, and I was like, wait, did I? Okay,
so cool. Ned is a nickname.
How do you get Ned out of Ed? Whatever. Okay, I'm not gonna fight.
Don't ask. So then his wife, Catelyn Stark, Lady Catelyn Stark.
Okay.
Yes. So we have Catelyn, and then we have the Stark children. From oldest to youngest, we have Robb Stark.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Then we have.
Did they even say his name?
I think they might have mentioned it. I don't know if they say it in the first episode.
No, they make you assume you know all the Stark children.
Yeah. But then we have Sansa Stark.
So Red Lady, red hair.
She's got the red hair.
I want to be the queen.
Yes, and then we have Arya.
Okay.
Bran, Rickon, and then
Rickon.
Yeah,
okay.
Rickon's
he's the really really small
He's the really really little one. Okay. And then off there from who we have Jon Snow, who's the bastard.
Yeah, and he probably fell in somewhere up the chain. But I'm glad that Cameron mentioned to me that these. Like, in the books, the characters are much younger than they are in the show, which will make... I'll have to try and keep that in mind, because a lot of the events I feel are going to be... I don't know. Maybe they had to make them older because it would be too
I think it would be a little bit difficult.
Well, and also child actors.
Yes.
Hard. Very hard.
I would agree. So anyway, continue.
So where were we? Okay. Chopped his head off, yeah. Okay, then there was just, like, some general bonding where you, like, figured out the Starks were Starks. Like, haha, you can't archery. Right. And the father's like, you couldn't archery when you were 10 either. And I was like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And then Arya's like, look at me, I'm better than all of you.
Look, I can archery.
I can archery. And everyone's like, oh, you. And Bran's like, and he chased her. Yes. And then they're all like, oh, cool, the king's coming. And it's like, all right, neat. And then it's like, it's going to be for serious business. You're going to have to be his hand. It's like, but aren't I a full person? Ah, ha, ha. They didn't do that. But basically the king was coming to be all like, hey, I want you to be my right hand man. Ah, ha, ha. Sorry. There's so many nouns, I can't not make fun of it. And, okay, from there, enter Joffrey and his hound, and, like... brother and sister Lannister. They're Lannisters. Yes, they are.
Yes.
Frick. Then, oh man, I'm terrible. We watched this like 20 minutes ago.
I know, we did.
I'm bad.
We literally just turned off the TV.
I am bad. I should feel bad. Okay. Well, I'm trying to think of which part came first because then, well, no,
order doesn't matter. Just tell me what you remember.
Okay. Well, then they mentioned about like True Kings, and then they go all the way over to Pentos. And yeah, I remember the name. Yes,
yeah, he remembers Pentos.
Yeah, well, that's because I made the thing.
No one else remembers Pentos.
When the Dothraki come in, I made the pun. It's like, haha, now it must be Pectos. Look at that. And okay, so they go over to there, and there's a brother and sister. I didn't really catch their names, but I know that the Warren girl is like dragons, and then her brother is like Lucius Malfoy, and
the missing Malfoy.
Yeah, the missing Malfoy, the medieval Malfoy. It's like, oh, like, yes, you are property, and I'm selling you to these like barbarians. And she's like, but I don't want you. He's like, shut up, you're property. And I'm like, I hate this guy. And so she goes, and he like So, like, yep, you can be my life because I like, looked at you and didn't kill you. Neat. And then I think we cut back to, like, more serious talk, and it's like, the king actually is there, and he actually, like, you know, like, will you be my hand? And Ned Stark's like, oh god, the implications. And basically says yes. Also, the king loved his sister, and they had, like, lots of, like, past and, like, stuff.
There's a lot of tension there.
There was actually more tension than I thought, because they're like super bros, and then they had that moment. It's like, whoa,
yeah.
Okay. And let's see. Oh yeah, I don't know if this is necessarily order dependent, but there were definitely puppies. A dire wolf had killed like some kind of a like elk and got itself stabbed, all stupid like, and they all got puppies, and there's enough for all the Stark children, and then Jon Snow gets, like, the little baby albino one. And I'm like, yes, puppies. Also, the family dynamics work great. And then we go back to Tyrion Lannister, who is with all the ladies, and his brother's like, dude, I don't want to go to this party. It's like, I don't either, because I'm partying now. And he's like, here, I'll bring the extra party to you. And he's like, okay, cool. And
then lots of ladies come in.
Yeah, and then they're actually at, like, the banquet, and people are, like, doing banquet things, and Jon Snow's outside, like, whacking a piece of hay, and all, like, antisocial, and then Tyrion's like, aha, I'm a bastard, and you're a bastard, and he's like, I don't really want to be bros, and Tyrion's like, you gotta wear that bastard thing like armor, and he's like, I'm just gonna chop the hay. Also, his uncle or something came from the Wall, and he's all like, I want to go to the Wall, I hate it here, everyone hates me, and I hate them, so I want to go to the Wall. And he's like, dude, you don't want to do that. It's like, I want to go! And he's like, John, chill out. And it's like, but if you tell Dad! And yeah, that's that. And then cut back to a Dothraki wedding, and people are like twerking and killing each other, and then there's dragon eggs.
I think that's literally the best description of a Dothraki wedding. People are twerking and they're killing each other.
That's what I saw. My eyes didn't lie to me. And so yeah, and then he's like, I got you a pony, it's white. He's like, neat. And then it's like they're by the ocean, and it's like semi-romantic, except for the fact that there's about as much subtlety to their lovemaking as like a club.
Yes.
It's like, I don't want this, and no. What? You only know no? No. Wait.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the only reason that he knows no is because people probably like only like ask him for his like their lives in common, and he's like no. So
Yeah,
that's probably
no.
like that's why his one liner.
Yes, that's his one-liner. The only word in the common tongue that he knows.
Hey, it works.
Maybe. Well, he said no to that. He did say that it wasn't the only word he knew.
Yeah, but I don't think he
Clearly,
understood what he meant.
well, I mean, maybe. I mean, clearly he understood that she was
I
asking.
don't know. I'm sorry. From what he was doing, that was not the time for witty banter. I mean, he kind of missed the cue for
Maybe
witty
he was trying to be charming.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Also, his hair is longer than hers, and that's awesome.
Okay, so continue.
And so his pecs made love to her, and then we go to the next scene. I literally will only know the Dothraki by their pecs. Okay. And then the end of the episode was all like, a little bit more plot, and then like, Bran, yeah, it's Bran. Bran Flakes was like all climbing up there, like, look, I'm Assassin's Creed, even though I promised Mom I wouldn't climb. And then he comes in on some like incest stuff, and we're all like, oh, he's gonna leave the kid alone. That'll be great. And then he's like, the things I do for love. And then he pushes him off, and you're like, oh my god, I hope that he didn't hit the dog.
And then boom, credits.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess my thought wasn't like, oh no, is he going to UK? It's like, oh my god, did he hit the dog?
So yeah, so there was episode 1 in a nutshell.
That was my recap.
Yeah.
I apologize.
You know, you honestly did a better job than I thought you would do, Zach.
Oh, thanks.
So yeah, so general thoughts. How did you enjoy this episode?
I very much I love the locations they use, and I'm sure it's going to be a thing. And the opening theme is super cool. I know that, like, for every theme they like show the places. I didn't pay enough attention. I was just all like, yeah, din 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 names din 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 din.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, Zach. That's how it goes.
These are my very excited thoughts from episode 1 when I actually paid attention.
So yeah, that was the first episode of Game of Thrones.
It was very neat. I liked it. They had very good actors. They did some nice shots. Very like great costumes. Like you can tell the people like lots of money in this. Lots and lots of money.
Seriously, there must be like an army of like costumers and like blacksmiths just for this show alone.
Yes, I would like, man, to be a blacksmith on this show, you'd be making mad bank.
Oh, I know. So right now, before I move into any more like recap follow-up questions, we're gonna play a little game of this is that, this or that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this or that. So I'm gonna ask you some questions. You have to choose this or that in the question.
Okay.
They're all themed around episode 1.
Okay.
And the events that happened.
Not Return of the Sith.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, I'm the worst. Keep going.
So, and you can feel free to either just like say like one word and like go move like next, or explain as much as you want. So here we go.
We'll see.
So you're forced to have a sibling in the Game of Thrones universe.
In real life.
Okay, yes. And your sibling choices are either Viserys,
no.
Mr. Malfoy,
Oh, no. Ugh.
or Queen Cersei. Who do you pick as your sibling?
And Cersei, he was the brother?
Cersei is the queen.
No, oh.
No, Viserys is the one you're thinking of.
Dang it.
Viserys is
The
Daenerys' brother. He's Mr. Malfoy, if you want to call him that.
Frick him, no.
And
the
then-
other one. I don't even know who the other one is. Not him.
Cersei is the queen.
I mean, it would be a lot more fun to have her because he's just all about power grabbing and she's in it in a more subtle way. I feel like I would grow more as a person with her around, even if she'd stab me in the back.
Okay, I'm just gonna leave that one there, and we're gonna move on to the next one.
Okay.
So now imagine, if you will, you are a young woman in Westeros, and you're being forced to marry someone. Who would you rather be forced to marry?
Oh.
Joffrey or Khal Drogo?
Pecs.
That did not take you long at all to come up with the answer to that.
I hate Joffrey.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I already hate him. His face annoys me. I couldn't look at that for the rest of my life.
All right. So then we're gonna have next one here. Who threw the better party this week? The Dothraki or the Starks?
I'd rather a party where I didn't die.
But you're gonna miss out on the twerking.
No, it can happen at the other party in, like, secret, but, like, that was just
Secret twerking in the Starks.
I don't know.
Secret twerking in Winterfell.
Probably. They have to do it in hiding.
That sounds like the title to my next bad erotic fan fiction.
Oh, I thought it was going to be your next electropop dance single. I don't know. Who knows? It's anyone's game. But I prefer the stereotypical party with, like, the wenches and, like, people attacking haystacks. I don't know, the Dothraki wedding, like, had, like, snakes in boxes and, like, I am 100% sure they are cannibals. There is definitely a shot of them eating human heads.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know about that.
I would like a good old human blood based. I was not all about that.
Well, on that note, since we're on the Dothraki wedding here, Daenerys, this episode, she got a bunch of wedding gifts.
Yes. Dragons.
Well, okay, obviously the dragon eggs are the best gift, but who gave the better gift? Was it Ser Jorah, who gave her the books from Westeros, or was it Khal Drogo, who gave her the white horse? Which gift was better?
Books, because she'll need to... I can already kind of tell that she's going to... This is the very, like, patriarchal thing. She'll need to have things to do in her time, and she'll want to amass knowledge. In the position she's going to be getting herself into, she wants knowledge.
Okay.
Knowledge is going to be more helpful than a horse. I am sure that they have extra horses to give her. They don't have extra books.
Well, I guess maybe the question is not just what is the better gift, but maybe who was the better gift giver. So was the better gift giver Jorah, Ser Jorah, or was it Khal Drogo?
Well... The thing with it is, I would have said Jorah at face value, but you did mention that in the books he got her a white horse because of her white hair. It's like, oh, okay. That's probably the most thoughtful thing, like, a murdering barbarian could do. But I would still stick with books. Even knowing that, I would stick with books.
Okay. So
I don't know. I like the confident. I like him. Like, out of all the people, I like him and her.
Jorah or Drogo?
The Jorah.
Okay,
because Jorah, because I don't know. I don't like Malfoy and his, like, other advisor, because he's willing to just let anything slide and do whatever. And that guy, like, actually seemed to, like, care about her as a person. Like, that was the first time that she was cared about as a person in that entire episode.
Agreed. Because
so I appreciated that immensely.
So we have one more, this or that. And it's envision now it's your real family reunion.
Oh, God.
And someone from Game of Thrones is going to come and crash it. Who would you rather have crash it? Drunk Tyrion or drunk Robert, the king?
Tyrion for sure.
Okay.
Because I don't know, he has a lot more class. Even though he's a lot more depraved, he's depraved in a way that would be more subtle. I wouldn't want like Robert all up on my relatives macking with him and stuff.
But what if Tyrion brings a couple of his whores to
more fun? Fun for everyone.
Okay, well, that was a this or that game of episode 1 of Game of Thrones with Zach. We've learned. I think I've learned a lot about Zach just from his answers there.
This is bonding. This is good. This is series. It's not only good for you, the listeners, but it's good for us. We're gonna be like super bros.
Oh, I know. It's gonna happen. So now we have to ask some even more important questions.
Oh.
If you had to crown someone in this episode
Wait, in this
for
one episode?
No.
Oh.
Like an award, give an award for best facial hair. Who gets best facial hair this episode?
Oh, that stings because a lot of the Starks had like the curly hairs, and I mean, like obviously some of them. Now, okay, what are the criteria?
No. Like single-handedly, like they have to have some sort of facial hair.
Oh, facial hair.
No, I
if
know.
you say, are you putting a bug in my ear for neckbeard?
I'm not. I mean, I could be, but no. You have to give someone the award. You have to give someone the award for best facial hair based off of their facial hair.
Facial hair. Okay, because
Yes.
that's
Best
completely
beard.
different. Okay, the neckbeard wins hands down. Like, because everyone else like pretty much had like scruff and scraggle, and I mean the Dothraki like did a good job with like the hairs. If we're talking like,
But I mean, Khal Drogo had a beard too. It had little like bands coming out of it.
It was like wannabe
beading.
Jack Sparrow. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. It didn't compliment his pecs.
That's okay. Well, fine. We're gonna give the award to
Neckbeard.
Neckbeard. Okay. And
Well, actually, no. It would. We need to make sure that you know that I know that it's not actually so much a neckbeard so much as he took his sideburns and made them into a neckbeard.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
they're
why
like tied underneath his chin.
I know. I mean, like that's the extra effort. I mean, maybe he can't actually grow facial hair in the front and only like off the sides.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that's a pretty ingenious solution if you can't grow facial hair like right under your chin.
Yeah, exactly.
Just tie it.
Just makes me wonder. I mean, like this is things that will obviously not be covered in the show. But
The mystery of how he got his facial hair.
But in my fan fiction, this will be covered in depth. It's gonna be the adventures of Neckbeard and like Bran's dog that didn't die.
Okay, so now for the next award. Let's say you are now the Westeros fashion police. You have to give out the award for best dressed and worst dressed. So who was the best dressed this episode?
Definitely. I like the Lannisters mostly because of their reds. I guess it's more of a color scheme thing.
They do wear the fanciest clothes.
Yeah, I mean, I know that she was like trying to compliment Sansa or whatever on her stuff, but
Yeah,
like
she
I don't know,
handmade.
the northern like frills and things they added to it are kind of weird. It's like they put like balls of yarn onto their clothes. I'm just like, okay,
It's a little rough up there.
it's interesting, and I mean, I understand it's probably more functional.
So wait. Are you telling me that the Lannisters are the best dressed and the Starks are the worst dressed this episode? Is that what you're telling me?
They were drab.
Oh, okay. So you have to pick one single person though, best dressed. And one single person worst dressed. like girl, I wouldn't be caught dead in that dress.
Okay, well then I guess I would say the Queen.
Queen
was
is best dressed?
Probably her. Well, I wasn't paying super attention. I only like paid attention to like the things that were interesting.
So her clothes weren't
Dress-wise.
interesting.
No, but the thing with it is, the show is bombarding you with like a
It's
million
true.
different outfits.
There is a lot of stuff, and they get a new costume like every time they go into a new scene.
Yeah.
Some of them.
But yeah, definitely that. Not Joffrey, because I hate Joffrey.
No.
Even though he was like wearing basically the same stuff, I hate him. So no.
So who's worst dressed then? Single-handedly, like the worst dressed.
Well, how about the... I don't know. Let's see. Let me think through who would be least, because a lot of them were just in like regular drab clothes, so it's hard to
Right.
pick which one. Okay, well I guess
Who wore? Okay, fine. So a lot of the guys.
no.
Are
I think I
wearing the
got
whole
it.
thing,
I
so
mean,
who wore it worse?
Who their hand, the like not Pope, the pastor looking guy that had like those gray robes. I appreciate the style of it. But,
Maester Lewin.
yeah, the Maesters. The Maesters outfits are just kind of like, I don't know how they
So
work.
so Maester Lewin is worst dressed this week.
Yeah, and mostly because like I'm rating this on a scale of interesting. His was interesting in the way it was put together.
You're putting
but as
a lot
far
of
as
thought into this.
colors, dumb, and also weird. Like part of what made me like not choose him as the least is because there's like some for convoluted way he puts it on, or it's either a very convoluted way or a very like super easy way that's lackluster. So that's why he loses.
Okay, well, let's move on from that tangent to some plot point discussion from episode 1.
Okay.
So a lot of episode 1 is setting up things to come, obviously.
I feel like this is the whole show.
Right. I mean, like, obviously. But I mean, like, there's still a lot of information we don't yet know. We know that the former hand was murdered.
Yeah.
In King's Landing. Or maybe murdered. We don't know. We just know he's dead.
Definitely murdered. There was that note. Yeah, there was that note that Lady Lady Stark got, and she's all like, holy bejesus, totally murder because I know my sister and stuff.
Yes. And so we got that, and there's just a decent amount of intrigue right now, and a lot of information we don't know. So the question is for you, who right now, as of episode 1, do you think is hiding the biggest secret? Whether or not you know that secret or not, who do you think is hiding the biggest secret?
People who... Oh, dear. Oh, no.
And what do you think that secret is? If someone is...
Well, I definitely suspect Lannisters. Lannisters look like a bunch of, like, sneaky little sneaks. I mean, as seen by a lot of their practices.
Except they're not really... Okay, well we
and
know
they're
what
also
they're
willing
hiding,
to...
though.
They're literally willing to, like, kill someone on a whim. It's like, oh, they saw us. We can just bribe the kid. He's dead.
Right, but we... Okay.
But I guess
you know what that secret is. You know, like, it's out of the bag at the end of episode 1 that there's incest going on between Cersei and
But they were also
Jaime.
talking about, like, she, like, totally wants him to be the hand. There is some, like, power hungriness. Maybe not from the dude, but definitely from the lady.
Okay, so you think Cersei's got the biggest secret this episode?
I don't. The thing with it is, I don't know who has the most secrets, but as far as who I actually trust the least, it would be Cersei.
Cersei. Okay.
Cersei.
Cersei. But do you think? Okay. So do you think her secret is? Let's see. Do you think her secret?
Maybe she's involved in it. I don't know. I feel like they're involved in that death. I do. The death of the former hand.
Yeah.
That is just my, like, overt inkling. Everyone else seems to have been pretty genuine so far.
Okay.
There aren't many other people, to me, that were suspicious on the surface.
Okay. Does that scare you more, though, that maybe someone else out there is hiding a secret because
obviously, I mean, everyone probably has secrets, but at this point, they have definitely been pegged as the most, like, power-hungry, sort of, like, willing to cut people down sort of peeps. I don't know. And also the brother was like super, even though he didn't seem like he was interested in being the hand on the surface, it was a matter of him maybe being coy to his sister.
So are we talking about Jaime here now?
Yeah, because he like was all up on Ned Stark and like, oh yeah, do you participate in tournaments? And like, not really so much anymore. And he's like, and then
there's a little bit of a pissing contest right there.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's necessarily, and I think it's related to the hand thing because he knows what's going to happen. They know why the king's there.
You see like Cersei and Jaime talking in the beginning of the episode, like while they're having the funeral for like the old.
Yeah, exactly. They weren't there to pay respects. They were there to talk because they think people would leave them alone.
So definitely a lot of secrets. Definitely a lot of people moving around. But you definitely think that it's Cersei this week who has the biggest secret.
I can't pinpoint secrets because I'm not a good read of people that way, but as far as people that have the most things and would be the most likely to backstab people, Cersei.
Why do you still have the problems with that?
Cameron, I've memorized like 3 to 4 names. That is impressive for me. You're going to have to deal with
We're going to have to write a chart out for you.
I'm going to have to get a tattoo of all their names on my arm.
Well, that about does it for my episode 1 specific questions.
Okay.
So if you guys are going to keep tuning in for this whole series, I'm also going to have a series of questions that I ask on a weekly basis to Zach about his
the general
about general things happening on in the show. And so I'm just going to go through them right now. And
we can add or subtract to them as you guys like. But
yeah, if you got a question that you want me to ask to Zach during this whole process,
we could even recap to some degree. I mean, don't get too far behind because I won't remember too well.
You could send us those questions on Twitter. You could do that. You could leave a comment on our Tumblr, about it.
I mean,
So, I mean, especially if you're a Game of Thrones viewer, junkie. I think junkie is a more appropriate.
If we can help be your fix. We'll get you through this time. Yeah. I'm assuming you're listening to this once season 5 is over and you need something.
Definitely just send in the questions that you think are going to be the most agonizing to ask Zach. Without the caveat here is don't spoil a thing for him.
Try not to. I mean, I've done my best to stay away from Game of Thrones until I could get there. I've had a few things ruined for me. I know big point things like Red Wedding.
Yeah.
And, like...
Which is unfortunate. Well, okay. Should I say that you know that something exists called the Red Wedding, or you know what
I know that there's
said Red Wedding?
Okay, the Red Wedding basically means a lot of people are dead wedding, but I have no idea the characters. As we can tell...
See, that's important, because, I mean, that's sort of hard to avoid at this point. I mean, the books have been out for years before the show came out, and it was sort of hard to avoid that, even for me. Like, I didn't read the books before watching the show, but I knew from the books in my friends who had read the books that there was a Red Wedding coming up. I didn't know who was gonna die in it, or why, or how.
I know that a lot of Starks die, and that the guy that is Ned dies in like everything. So I am putting my money on him dying, because that seems to be his like acting career. He's made an acting career around dying and things, which is unfortunate because he's like the honorable character, and that's gonna make me sad if that happens for real.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Sean Bean. You can't. I mean, I think the only thing I've seen him in that he hasn't died in, and I'm sure that this is not the only thing, but National Treasure. He's the villain in the first National Treasure movie, and he lives.
Oh, don't worry, he dies of shame.
He dies of shame.
That's in the deleted scenes. You need to watch them.
He just keels over, and Nicolas Cage is floating over his corpse.
Yes.
Okay, but anyway, we're going to move on to these weekly questions I have. So, the first one. Game of Thrones is a lot about people making plans of how they're going to move forward. Sometimes those plans are good plans, sometimes those plans are bad plans. But this episode, who do you think had the best laid plan? Whose plan, or should I say, whose plan do you think is most likely to
well, this is the tricky one, because I know that the King, Robert, was going to definitely like be making a good choice by picking Ned Stark as his right hand. He would be a trustworthy great right hand. I don't know how anyone else's plans are going to go. All of them are like very ambitious. Like the whole Dothraki thing, it's like, okay, all right there, Malfoy. You're going to get all these people to listen to you. All right, cool. You go ahead and try that.
So
I'm not exactly sold on this.
So right there, do we have like best and worst right there? Like best is Robert's, worst is the Targaryens.
I don't necessarily want to say that his is the worst.
Well,
I
guess, this episode.
Okay. The absolute worst plan is for Jon Snow to go to the Wall, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen anyway, because we already figured out about how great it is. It's like the worst vacation spot, even though it's the coolest snow fort I've ever seen.
Okay, and well, while we're on the note of best and worst, one constant in Game of Thrones that we're going to have every episode is dying. Death.
So best death, worst death?
Best death, worst death.
Okay, and is the scale on like the coolest looking, or like, oh my god, that was like the worst thing to have happened to you, death?
However you want to do it.
Okay.
So let's think about who died this episode, because even though
I'm going to start it very tame out on like, man, that would have been like, that really would have sucked to have died that way.
So who are you going to bring up for that one? Because we have the Rangers who died in the opening sequence.
Rangers.
We have the Dothraki who died at the wedding. Is there anybody else who died this episode besides
maybe
those people?
Bran, but we don't. That is not a confirmed.
Right.
So I think that those are honestly my choices, because no one else actually died.
Maybe those are your choices.
Yeah, and those are the two I was thinking.
I think that's the least amount of choices you're ever going to have.
Jeez. Oh, well, then that's tough. Then which was like, okay, I think it's weird because, I mean, for me, outside of the cultural thing, dying in front of a whole wedding of people would, like, be the worst. And that would be even worse of the Dothraki, because you're getting dishonored and disemboweled and dying. But you're dying in the most shame.
I don't know, because, I mean, if you remember what they said at the thing, like, it's a boring wedding and there's no death at a Dothraki wedding.
Yeah, but I mean, you want to be the one that lives. And I guess the caveat with this is the other guy, I mean, he was only scared for a little bit, and then, no, there were 3 deaths.
Yep, there were.
Because 4 deaths, because 2 Rangers died, and then 1 ran away.
And got executed.
And I guess that was the nicest, because, well, no, because, like, you're running in fear, and you know that, I guess the best death would have been the guy that got killed before he even realized that the White Walkers, or whatever they were on him. So I guess worst Dothraki wedding, best the guy that got killed before he knew what happened to him.
Okay.
I guess, I mean, like, yeah.
Not that he really deserved it, because he was sort of being a jerk about the whole, like, this ominous thing.
Yeah, I don't know. That was interesting, because I wasn't sure whether it was due to a duty-bound thing, or whether he's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he was probably being
Still, I mean, even if there's a duty, like, it doesn't give you the excuse to be a jerk about it.
Well, yeah, and that's true. And I mean, technically they could have run away and then been like, oh, there was some weird stuff, but we didn't find anything.
So there we have it. It's the best and worst death this episode. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that's the least amount of choices you're ever going to have.
So this kill count for this one was 4. Let's write down all the deaths. I want to keep a death count. I want you to keep an actual death count, and I want you to have me keep track of how many deaths there are. And we'll have a differing death count.
And it's going to be so hard. It's going to be so
to
hard.
not spoil it. But so far, 4 confirmed. Well, okay. And then are these only human deaths? Because there was also a dead direwolf and a dead elk.
That's true. You could count them, but I think you already made your choice on best and worst.
All right.
Worst death.
Oh, no, that wasn't for best and worst. That was for kill count.
Okay, so my next question that I'll ask you every time is Stark of the Week. Who was your favorite Stark this week?
I feel like, it's pretty easy, and it's pretty much like the obvious choice for probably everyone. Arya. Because she's just like so outside of the norms. I appreciate. She's like a great counterpoint to the rest of the family that's all like, ho ho ho, we're great, and you're the bastard child, and yeah. And she's part of the reason what made me like sympathize more with Jon Snow, because it shows him more as a person. Like the other brothers are kind of there, but like he specifically like cares for her, one of the younger ones, which is interesting. So I guess Arya mostly because she. Well, I guess it's not defying tropes, because typically you have one that's like, right. I'm the girl, but I want to be a boy.
And
I appreciate
the tomboy, yeah.
But, I don't know, but you can do it well, or, like, you can do it, like,
she doesn't come off as grating or annoying.
Yeah, she wasn't. She just doesn't want to be in the position she's in, and, I don't know, I just feel that she plays a good counterpoint to the rest of the family, and I like that.
Okay, well there we go. Arya is Stark of the Week for episode 1 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that was pretty quick, and part of it is because I don't even remember the other one's names, and if I don't actually know their names, it's pretty obvious it's not the one. Yeah, the oldest one that was a jerk. That was my favorite. The one that said cut his hair because he loves it and whatever.
That would be Rob, Zach.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna at least inform you on the Stark's names because I think that's pretty important.
Yeah. Okay.
So you gave Arya the Stark of the Week title.
Put a star by her name. 1 star for Arya.
Yeah, I think I should just keep like a chart of this. Like Arya was Stark of the Week for episode 1, and then do that for.
See who gets the most stars. Well, I guess we'll just have to cross off stars if they die, because I know too many people die.
We'll see about that.
Will it? Never mind. I was going to ask, will it eventually have to just be character of the week because we won't have enough Starks?
I don't want to answer that.
I know, and that's why I sort of hesitate. I don't want you to answer that either. I'm trying the best not to have hope, but at the same time.
So now we're going to move on to my next question. So the question I have is, obviously Game of Thrones it's called Game of Thrones for a reason, and it's because people are sort of fighting. They're weaving their way through the politics and whatnot, and it's about the power playing around the throne.
Okay, it's about the sword throne.
Well, yes, it's about the game that they're weaving to get that power.
Yeah, because
influence.
right now, like, they're in a very good position to like usurp the king. And also, he could die because he's just, like, old and fat and dumb.
So, anyway, right now what I'm looking for is objective assessment. Who do you think played the game the best? If you had to crown a winner to the game right now and make them the new king, objectively, who played the game best? Not who you want to be king, but who played the game the best this episode?
All the power play that's going on over in Westeros is really, like, long-term. No one was really winning there. The only one who really seemed to be winning were the people over in Pentos, because they were actually, like, making allies and doing things.
The Targaryens?
Yeah, not necessarily because they were doing the best, like, of everyone overall, but, like, in the first episode, we're just encompassing it to them, because they actually got an ally, and they actually had a plan they were working
So if you had to crown someone right now, would it be Daenerys, or would it be Viserys?
Unfortunately, it would have to be stupid Malfoy.
So Viserys has the crown right now.
Yeah, because he's the only one who has outright said his intentions for the crown and has, like, acted on it.
That's true. Well,
eventually I'll get the change. Yeah, and we don't know how it's gonna go, so it's gonna be very interesting to assess this episode by episode, because I have no like prior source material and no idea where anyone else is going.
Right, and when as the plot of the plot continues on, you're gonna see characters enter in, and there's gonna be a lot more people who I think you'll see as potential candidates for the throne.
Well, and I guess it's interesting that you say king, because if we also like say who has the best power play in general for themselves, just to keep themselves safe, that would be an interesting one.
Yeah, it could be interesting that
because I know that not everyone's going to be vying for the crown. Some of them are just going to be vying to like not die.
Right.
I feel it's going to be a very Stark thing because the Starks are in the position to jump in and like, okay, we're going to help out the king, but that means we're probably going to have a lot of people try and hurt us.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. After all the anti-Viserys stuff that you were saying.
Well, now see, and I like that you mentioned I don't like it.
Yes.
But that's the facts at this point.
See, that's sort of the thing with Game of Thrones is sometimes you have to cheer for someone you don't like just because they do
I'm not cheering.
So well.
He's just doing a thing.
I think that's one of the things I've enjoyed about my watching through of it so far, though, is like the characters don't ascribe to like a... They're not characters you sympathize with because you can morally align with them sometimes.
Yes, that's fair.
So, like, sometimes you have to look at them and sort of root for them because they're strong, even though they are sort of unscrupulous in...
Yeah.
Like Tyrion's a good example of that, I feel like, because you like Tyrion, even though, I mean, is sort of a lecherous jerk, you know? Like, he's whoring and drinking.
But he knows how to play the game. Like, he's smart, he's clever.
Yes.
But he's not winning any kind of game.
And he's funny. It helps that you're funny.
Yeah, it does help that he's like a humor point in this show that was usually very serious.
Yeah, it is very dark, and if you're funny, it does help.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's definitely in contenders, not necessarily for throne. Like, that's the thing, that's what makes it hard. And contenders for keeping their own place, Tyrion is definitely up there. Because he knows how to be exactly what he is, and do that to great effect. I can already tell that.
Yeah. Well, I'll be curious to see what you think of that as
the series continues.
Yeah, as the series continues, because
of course all he did was like conquer a party, which seems to be his thing.
I mean, he sort of avoided the party though, if you think about that for most of it.
He conquered it in the best way to himself.
I mean, he got like hammered before even showing up there in the first place. I mean, I love that line at the end of the episode that he has with the Hound about how he's like, there's like gonna be no like place I'm going to be itching.
I'm not going to itch.
Yeah, by the end of this.
Yeah. Oh boy, I hope they have penicillin.
Oh my gosh, I don't think that they have that technology in Westeros.
Well, that's gonna suck for him.
Maybe in Pentos. Okay, let's be real. I mean, if you're a Dothraki.
I don't feel like their medicine consists of anything more than like leeches and chopping off of things. I don't even think. No, forget the leeches. Just chopping things.
Yeah, they're like, I stubbed my toe. You're gonna have to chop it off.
You're gonna have. Yeah, I will fashion you a fine new peg leg.
You're gonna have to chop the whole darn leg off.
Both legs, just in case.
Both legs, just in case.
You're at high risk of stubbing your other toe. We'd better take the other one off.
That would be a problem, though. I mean, how are you supposed to ride a horse with no legs?
I don't know.
I mean, that's a big deal if you're a Dothraki. You gotta be able to ride that horse and twerk.
But never mind. We're not going to get into a discussion about twerking and horse riding.
No, I know. Well, and I have one final question for you. Oh boy. And this question is simply, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hopeful are you? How much hope do you have?
There's a lot of hope in my heart, but I know that there's a lot of things that are going to happen. Like, hopeful for what? Or just hopeful in general?
Hope in general. How much hope did this episode leave you with?
I mean, the fact that it ended in the way it did was like it immediately set off the point that things are going to like go to crap. But I'm hoping that a lot of the heroes that I have sort of felt that I like are going to do well. So I'm about a 7 out of 10 hopeful.
7 out of 10? That's pretty hopeful for Westeros. But I mean, it's the beginning of things. So.
It's the beginning. Like, that's the thing. It's the beginning of things. I see that everyone has, like, a hand that they can play, albeit some of them very sloppily, but...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, still, I think that's a good place to start because... I mean, things can go up, things can go down.
Like, the thing with it is, I was able to keep my morale high by making, like, stupid jokes while we were watching it and stuff.
I mean, as far as, like, bad things that happened this episode, let's think about major bad events that happened.
Okay, bad things. Poor ranger guy ran away to get killed.
Yep. Even though he was right.
Yeah, even though he was right, and it probably would have been better to keep him alive, but, you know, the old laws or whatever.
Yeah, we have to keep the laws.
Bad things. I mean, the old hand died.
Yes, the old hand
That
died.
is a big deal.
Right.
Kid got pushed off
a window. Yep.
Freaking bran flakes falling down.
Bran flakes.
The only way I'm going to remember them if I make them up stupid nicknames.
You remember Arya? Nickname?
Well, that's because she was my favorite character.
Oh, okay.
See, it's easy for me to remember characters I like, but when there are like 12 for me to pick from, and I'm terrible at remembering names to begin with. So
yeah.
Other bad things.
Yeah.
I mean, poor Daenerys had to get married again. Daenerys had to get married against her will. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I think definitely not something that she wanted.
I think the worst part of that actually is not the fact that she had to get married, but the fact that Viserys has that conversation where he's like, "I would let everybody,
like literally everyone in his armory, and just like have their way with you and their horses."
Yes,
and I'm just like,
and the regard of life that he shows for her. Yeah,
it's like if that's how he says, "I love you," I really don't want to see what happens when he's angry.
Oh, I know. Well, he has that whole line like, "Don't wake the dragon," and I think he's referring to himself when he says that. He's like, "Don't make me angry."
Yeah, I didn't know what was up with that. But rude.
Yeah,
rude
well,
dude.
you have to remember, so this is...
Well, yeah, he's been spurned from the throne, and he feels like all like, those Lannisters are a bunch of bad things. And
right.
Because that's just what war does to everyone. It makes everyone think that everyone else is the crap.
Yes. Well, and then you also have the fact that the Targaryens were the former rulers, and their sigil was the dragon. Which they don't even tell you in that.
Dragon significance.
Yes, we got some dragon significance there, and he's like, don't wake the dragon, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that, obviously, as the show goes on. It's kind of interesting because right now, where you're at especially with episode 1, setting up things, you literally just have like Winterfell and Pentos as like the locations for things, and that's it.
That's the thing,
and that's going to be again like the fewest amount of locations you're going to be switching through like ever in the show because
oh gosh, my recaps will get so much more disjointed.
Oh, I know. Which is, I mean, it's kind of interesting coming at this from the perspective of someone who has watched everything up to date right now and being like, "Oh, just wait until you see where everybody goes." And it's gonna be like
Disneyland.
It's actually really funny. There is a website where you can go to that has like an interactive map
where you chart like each person's specific journey.
It's almost like a Google Maps, but it's Westeros, and
I will have to check that once we get further.
I know it'll show you episode by episode like where these people are at.
That would be really
in the world, and it's kind of interesting seeing how far some people travel and how not far other people's
travel. It's very true.
Like some people will stay pretty static in one area and be sort of our eyes and ears in that place, whereas other people are going to go on this fantastic journey through everywhere in the world.
Okay.
So yeah. Well, that about wraps it up for our first recap here of episode 1, season 1.
Can we watch episode
of Game of Thrones? Zach, I would not be opposed.
Whee! This is the...
See, now you know what it was like for us when this first came out.
Okay, I will. Never mind. This is okay. I'll be totally pretentious and say that my thing is we never know when we're going to get to meet. You guys at least got to see it like every week on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Of course, you had times in between seasons, but when most people would be able to just Netflix this crap in one night,
True.
I'm going to have to.
Well, HBO Go, I guess, because it's not on Netflix.
The Hobo Go?
No, HBO Go.
Okay,
it's how. Never mind.
HBO Go, buy it and sponsor us, HBO.
Yes, we're gonna product plug this. Be like, by the way, did you hear about that? HBO is releasing their own streaming service now that's like Netflix. I think it's called HBO Now or something like that. HBO Go is what it used to be. It's what you got like the online access to stuff if you had an HBO subscription, and that's how people would watch.
All right, come on, never mind. I'm sorry, that was a bad joke. We can't sell out on the first episode.
I know, right?
But we did. We're bad. We're bad people.
We did a bit. Actually, so anyway, yeah. Well, I mean, we are doing a Game of Thrones recap show, so we're already kind of selling out a little bit maybe there.
Yeah. George R.R., hit me up. I need to write gooder.
Well, anyway, yeah, that about wraps it up. Do you have any final words for our listeners, Zach?
I guess it's more of a personal note for where we are, but winter is gone, thank God.
Yeah, right now, as of the date of this recording, like winter is finished. But I don't think there's a little. I mean, there's a little bit of irony, I guess, in saying that winter is coming.
Yeah, it's always coming.
I mean, it is.
I don't know.
Coming.
I guess that basically just means the plot is coming, and my body is not ready. Those are pretty much my ending thoughts.
Oh, don't worry, Zach. Your body is not ready.
I might be at a 6.5 out of 10 now.
Yes.
Oh. All right. Well, I hope I hope all. Okay, I guess my closing thought is I hope all the dogs live.
Well,
Because you know that this
you'll just
show.
have to tune back in later and find out.
Don't tell me the dogs are dead. Please, that's all I'm holding on to. People can die. Not the puppies.
Not the puppies.
Not the puppies.
All right, well, that about wraps it up for us. So thank you for tuning in. Tune in next time to see what Zach thinks of episode 2 of season 1 of Game of Thrones. If you've seen it, you know what happens, and you know what's awaiting Zach. Keep your sinister smiles to yourself.
You can, join with me, and we can be bros.
Oh yeah, you could watch it with Zach and kind of figure out what's ahead too.
You can. I don't know. Maybe we'll make
find
Twitters
it on whatever viewing platform that you can.
I was gonna say, yep. Just hit me up on the Twitters, and we can talk about our thoughts and things.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and
feelings.
In 140 characters or less.
No, fine. And it's another 140 characters of that, and I say nothing.
It's just 140 characters of
Okay. Did that happen?
Yes.
That I feel that's going to be my reaction to a lot of things. Did that happen? Cameron, rewind it. Did that happen? I already did that a few times.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess this is it for us. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you later.
We'll see you again.
Bye.
Bye.